Okay, got it. Shall I start?
Yes.
Okay.
ठीक ठीक
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
these are the ideas I have learned from Silo. Uh, well, let me introduce myself. My name is Vipul. I am from Mumbai. I am also a humanist. Uh, Today we see, greetings to all of you for Teachers' Day today. And with that as an important topic in everybody's life. Every child wants a good education in today's time, which will sustain his life forever. I mean, till he lives. Uh, no doubt, knowledge and information have become important in today's time. Today we see the world moves by information. The one who has better information moves faster and goes ahead in life. But to educate means to really develop non-naive vision of reality and of looking at the world. Then how do we face the world? Through our action, through our emotions and intellect. Today, we see that this development in these three sectors, I mean, these three facets, uh, is not uniform in many cases. So, when we learn to develop coherent behavior in the world, we deal or respond with our thinking, feeling, and action in the world. So, thinking has to do with learning to develop unbiased vision of the world and with the help of attentive practices of how I look at the world and how my thinking process is happening. Another important part, as I was saying, that out of three, one is intellect, other one is emotional. Another important part is emotional comprehension and development. To learn to develop emotional contact with self and with others. Third part is about action in the world. How do we learn to use all bodily resources in integral way? Maybe sports, gymnastics, yoga can help, but it should not lead to one-sided development of body. So these three aspects, body, emotion, and intellect, there should be in the curriculum, or rather it should be in the part as an important part of education, that all three should be emphasized, not only just information and I mean educational curriculum. Let's look at our education scenario in our society or in our country. What we see is there is uneven development. Some states have almost 100% literacy, and some states they lack in terms of literacy rate. And on top of that, there is child labor, which prevents, because of poverty, which prevents child from getting a good education. We as humanists had taken campaign, education is not a business, which has become business today. We continue to work on this important subject. Now I hand over the mic to Ashutosh ji to take it further.
So, thank you, Vipul Bhai. We have four speakers, and each one is going to speak for about 7 to 10 minutes. And then at the end of all the speeches, we will have question and answer. I wanted to first invite Rukaiya Ben, Professor Rukaiya Joshi, but she is trying to connect to the audio. There seems to be some problem, but she is there. So Professor Rukaiya Joshi retired from SP Jain
Yes.
Institute.
Yes.
Yeah, and she has involved herself in a lot of social activities, and she is currently involved with many colleges in their social activities, and she is the national coordinator for World Without Wars and Violence. and she stays in Mumbai. So, welcome, Rukaya ji, and invite you to speak on challenges before education.
Yes. So thank you for organizing this kind of a discussion. Very important. It is not enough that it is only few people discuss. It's important that it becomes a matter of something which is of everybody's, need and requirement. तो जब हम एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं तो हार्डवेयर सॉफ्टवेयर की बात करते हैं. हार्डवेयर होता है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर and all that other things, teachers training, and software make curriculum and so many other things come. And how do you design? और वो शुरू होता है बच्चे से लगा के, जब बच्चे का जन्म होता है. जैसे विपुल ने कहा कि नॉलेज चाहिए, टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए, so many things we need. Or it is fast changing. The pace at which the change is coming is not something which was there 100 years ago or 50 years ago. तो ये सबको देखते हुए हमें एक ब्रॉडर लेवल पर देखना है कि किस तरह से हमें एजुकेशन को देखना है. सो आज टीचर्स डे हैं और सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन ने कहा है कि वी कैन नॉट बिल्ड अ सोसाइटी without building educational system properly in the country. तो ये हमारे लिए तब से वो बताया गया है कि ये बहुत जरूरी है. पर इंडिया की साइज, उसकी डाइवर्सिटी, हर 15 किलोमीटर पे खाना के स्टाइल और रहने का स्टाइल बदली होता है, लैंग्वेज बदली होती है. तो उसके अंदर एक बहुत बड़ी चैलेंज है. ये कोई एक छोटी कंट्री, होमोजेनियस कंट्री नहीं है कि जहां पर हम एक अच्छा सा एजुकेशन सिस्टम बना दे और वो चलता रहे और अच्छा रहे. छोटी सी कंट्री लाइक जापान, उसने अपने एजुकेशन पे इतनी इम्पोर्टेंस दी है और वो खास करके जो बच्ची की एजुकेशन होती है उस पर इतना इम्पोर्टेंस दिया है. उनमें वैल्यूज जो होती है, जो जो हैबिट्स एंड वैल्यूज बोथ आई एम सेइंग. इससे फॉर एग्जांपल सफाई एक वैल्यू है और हैबिट है कि हर कोई बच्चा स्कूल में सफाई करेगा. तो फिर वो क्या होता है, इट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ योर लाइफ. फिर वो बच्चा बड़ा होगा तो वो फिर सफाई के लिए इनडिफरेंट नहीं रहेगा. तो इस तरह से अलग अलग एस्पेक्ट ऑफ जो लाइफ है, नॉलेज एक वन एस्पेक्ट है और उसको बदली हो सकता है. मैं आज के संदर्भ में अगर ये बात करूं तो ये वर्ष 2 महीने पहले न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी इज बीइंग इम्प्लीमेंटेड. It is been implemented at the degree level. It is a new policy which this government has brought to try and correct the problems which the government saw as the problems of education in India. And it went out to help. And it is an attempt. हमें 2 साल लगेंगे उसके बारे में कुछ भी कहने के लिए. जिस तरह से मैं अभी कॉलेज जाती हूँ और बहुत सारी कॉलेजेस में जाती हूँ फॉर वर्ल्ड विदाउट वॉर्स एंड वायलेंस, और वहां से मैं जो सुनती हूँ, वहां मैं जो देखती हूँ, मैंने जो देखा है और सुना है, तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी सरकार तैयार नहीं है, पर उनको ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी इम्प्लीमेंट करनी है. लोकसभा के चुनाव के लिए उन्होंने डिले किया और अभी जब जून से शुरू हुआ सत्र तो वो दे आर नॉट रेडी. क्या करने की कोशिश की गई है वो हमें सब न्यूज़पेपर में पता चलेगा. पर मैं एक बात बताना चाहती हूँ कि एक एजुकेशन, इतनी जो वैरायटी की जो मैंने बात की, उसको देखते हुए हमें ऐसा लगता है कि जितने लोग वेरिड होते हैं, जितनी वेरिएशंस जो हमारे समाज में है, तो उसको चॉइस देना बहुत जरूरी है. तो शुरुआत से हमारी एजुकेशनल प्रणाली स्कूल की हो, कॉलेज की हो, हमें एक बात हम कहते हैं आए हैं पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस, कि हमने एक ढांचा बनाया दैट इज इक्वल टू ऑल। और उसमें कार्टून्स भी बहुत अच्छे अच्छे बने हैं कि आप कोई भी तरह का जानवर हो, आप कोई भी साइज के जानवर हो, आपको एक ही चीज है कि आपको पेड़ पे चढ़ना है। आप पानी की मछली है तो भी आपको पेड़ पे चढ़ना है, और आप बर्ड है तो भी आपके लिए पेड़ है। इस तरह का एक बहुत ही अच्छा कार्टून है जो बता, ये एक एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की जो लिमिटेशन है उसको बहुत अच्छे से बताता है कि वी कैन नॉट हैव an education policy which fits one program for all। इसीलिए ये प्रोग्राम अभी जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आई है उसने वैरायटी चेंजेस लाने की कोशिश की है। तो हमें देखना होगा कि वो किस तरह से आएगा। दूसरी एक बात जो हम करते हैं कि ये जब इतना एजुकेशन इज अ मेजर स्टेट प्रॉब्लम, ये वर्ल्ड ओवर, अमेरिका में हो या इंडिया में हो, लोगों को पढ़ाना ये एक स्टेट की जिम्मेदारी मानी गई है। और इसमें हमारी सरकार, अगर मुझे फ्रीडम हो तो मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि बहुत बहुत फेल गई है। हमारे जो स्कूल्स हैं, जो गवर्नमेंट के स्कूल्स हैं, इतने बुरे तरह से चलते हैं कि मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकती। वहां पर टीचर्स को पढ़ाने के लिए कोई मोटिवेशन नहीं है। वहां पर इतना सारा आपका हमारा इनकम टैक्स का पैसा वो चलाने में जाता है, पर उससे बच्चे कुछ नहीं सीखते हैं। ये मैं एक जिम्मेदारी से स्टेटमेंट कर रही हूँ, और उसका मैं एक प्रूफ भी किसी को भी कर दे सकती हूँ, और मैंने उस पर थोड़ा काम भी किया है। वी हैड आल्सो ट्राई टू डू इट ड्यूरिंग कोविड विद यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेज ऑफ लंदन टू ट्राई एंड सी के कोविड में जब स्कूल जाना बच्चों ने बंद कर दिया तो फिर क्या हुआ। बच्चों पे असर पड़ा नहीं, टैब थे नहीं थे वो अलग बात है, पर मैं ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि ये जो स्कूल्स की जो हार्डवेयर है, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, कॉलेज जो गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में है, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है वो अच्छे नहीं चलते हैं। ये हमारी लिमिटेशन है। एक ही संस्था है जो अच्छी चलती है, वो है आईआईएम्स और आईआईटी, जो गवर्नमेंट की है पर वो अच्छी चल रही। तो उसको छोड़ के अगर आप स्कूल्स कॉलेजेस लें तो वहां पर हमें प्रॉब्लम है। फिर क्या करना पड़ता है, हमें प्राइवेट के लिए जाना पड़ता है। अगर हम प्राइवेट में गए तो प्रॉफिट शेयरिंग, फिर पैसा दो और सर्विस लो, और जो पैसा नहीं देख सकते उसको नहीं मिलती। तो ये इक्विटी और इक्वालिटी की जो बात होती है फिर वो हम अटेंड नहीं कर सकते। दूसरे देशों ने क्या किया, अगर दूसरे देशों की बात करें तो एक तो एजुकेशन कंप्लीटली फ्री होता है और वो कंप्लीट स्टेट सब्जेक्ट होता है। तो पूरी की पूरी जिम्मेदारी गवर्नमेंट अपने हाथ में लेती है और ये करती है। तो मैं बहुत सारी चीज हम बात कर सकते हैं। सर्व शिक्षा अभियान अच्छा चला, फिर 8वीं 9वीं बच्चे तक बच्चे को खाली अपनी उम्र पे देना, उसमें बहुत डिबेट हुआ। ऐसे अगर हम छोटे छोटे पॉइंट लेके जाएंगे तो शायद हमारे लिए 2 घंटे भी कम पड़ेंगे। पर ओवरऑल अगर हम देखें तो हमारी एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, हमारी जो हम जिस तरह से 75 ईयर्स और आने वाले 5 साल को लेके मैं चलती हूँ, जिस तरह से, क्योंकि एकदम धड़मुड़ से बदलाव नहीं आएगा। तो ये जो मुझे लगता है कि उसमें बहुत सुधार की जरूरत है, टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग की करने बहुत जरूरत है। हर बच्चे को अपनी तरह से आगे बढ़ने के लिए, उसके लिए सबसे बहुत बड़ा लिमिटेशन है कि एक टीचर के लिए बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट हैं। तो अगर हमारे टीचर स्टूडेंट रेशियो में अगर फर्क पड़ता है तो हम हर एक बच्चे पर अच्छे से ध्यान दे पाएंगे। और इस तरह से एजुकेशन, हमारे यहाँ अभी तो डॉक्टर्स बोलने बात करने वाले हैं, तो वो मैं बताना चाहती हूँ कि इंजीनियरिंग हो या मेडिकल हो, एजुकेशन सिस्टम में बहुत बहुत गैप। तो इस पर हमें बहुत अच्छे से काम करना चाहिए। ये मेरी थोड़ी प्रिलिमिनरी पॉइंट्स में रख के बाद में अगर जरूरत पड़े तो और थोड़े पॉइंट्स बताना चाहती हूँ। ये क्योंकि मैंने करीबन 45 इयर्स के मेरे टीचिंग करियर में मैंने देखा है, ये उसके चढ़ाव उतार बदलाव, कब स्कूल में आए, कॉलेजेस में आए और थोड़ी फ्रीडम मिली, कभी नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं थी, थोड़ी मिली, और ये सब देखते हुए लगता है कि अभी जरूरत है कि हम बहुत अच्छे और बहुत फास्ट उस पर अगर हम बदलाव लाएं, तो ही हम अगली पीढ़ी को अच्छे से हम आगे बढ़ा सकेंगे। आज के दिन में बहुत सारे गैप्स, ये कह के मैं अभी स्टॉप होती हूँ।
Thank you, Ruqayya ji. For the benefit of those who don't understand Hindi, I will try to highlight some points from your speech, because there are some members from Kerala who may not be able to understand
I'm
Hindi,
sorry, I
parts
then
of
I
it.
should have
No, that's
spoken
okay.
in English.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Not a problem. So the highlights were that you said that there is diversity in our country, and we cannot have one model of education or one curriculum of education for the whole country. The second thing that you mentioned was that there are changes taking place in the field of technology, and we will have to implement reforms or changes at the required pace. Third thing that what you said, which struck me, was about the new education policy, which the government is trying to introduce, but the government is not very well prepared for the implementation. And the fourth point which you made was about the state's responsibility towards education, as especially primary education. And you said that in other countries, states have taken the responsibility to provide free education
Fully.
fully. And in our case, we have failed to discharge that responsibility. And the last point which you made was that if we do not implement these changes at the required speed, then the coming generations will be very adversely affected. We will be doing injustice to the coming generations. These were some of the points that you mentioned. This was for the benefit of our friends from the south who do not understand
My
Hindi.
apologies, I
No,
didn't
no, that's
remember
okay. That's okay. That's okay. Not a problem. That's not a problem. No need for apology. So our next speaker is Dr. Anand Karandikar. Dr. Anand Karandikar is a multifaceted personality in the sense he is from IIT IIM background, which you mentioned, Ruqayya ji, a little while ago. And he has been a social activist for better part of his life, but he was also working in an industry, and then later he started his own company in marketing consultancy, and he retired from, after running it for about 2 decades, he retired from it, and now he has devoted himself to writing on social themes, and he also is the director of Vichar Ved, which is a forum for social themes. And two of his books have won state award for non-fiction. And in one of those books, he has talked about how the unemployment problem can be resolved. And now his latest writing is in the field of primary education. And that is a chapter in the book that he's writing about India 2047. So this is a very current theme with him, what is happening in primary education, and he has some very startling revelations to make. So this Teachers' Day has come in at the right time for him to talk about his research on primary education and his experiments in primary education. So Dr. Karan Digir is also the illustrious son of our very great Marathi poet and writer Binda Karandikar, who was a Jnanpith awardee. So, welcome, Dr. Karandikar, and request you to speak on your favorite theme of primary education or pre-primary education.
Correct. Thank you, Dr. Bhupatkar. Now, one addition to that introduction, which has become very long, for almost 30 years, I have been an hourly rated teacher in management colleges in Pune, which I call Tasandari, teaching on hourly basis. But though last 5-6 years, I have been more involved in school teaching and problems of school teaching. Today, I'm going to discuss my views on pre-primary education, what is called early childhood education. As Madam Joshi mentioned, National Education Policy is now laying a great stress on pre-primary education or early childhood education, basically because in last 30 years, research on development of brain of children has revealed that from age of 3 to 8, the brain develops very fast in almost all capabilities, grasping, language capacity, skill development, so on and so forth. And therefore, now it is emphasized that from age of 3 to 8 is one phase of education, which gets split in our conventional system of pre-primary education and then first two standards, Standard 1 and Standard 2. I will not go into Standard 1 and Standard 2 just now. I'll stick to what in our conventional language is pre-primary education, which is called Montessori, XYZ. Now, this education is very important, is understood by all educationists. There is absolutely no difference of opinion. Fortunately, even before this came into being, with support of UNICEF, Anganwadi's project had started all over India, and therefore, not only supplementary nutrition, but also education of children between age 3 to 6 was becoming more common. And children undergoing education before formal schooling, which is called pre-primary education, was increasing every year, reaching a figure of about 1 crore and 1.1 crore before COVID. In COVID, naturally the figure dropped because schools closed. Parents were not eager to send their children to a place where there will be infection. But after COVID, in rural areas, the attendance has come back to the original figure. But in urban areas, shockingly, last 4 years, attendance of children in pre-primary schools is declining. This was very surprising. And this is despite all the propaganda and efforts of supporting pre-primary education. More worrisome, there is a migration from rural areas to urban areas, and rural people, unfortunately, try to imitate what is happening in urban areas, even the education. Now, why is the number declining is the first question. And surprisingly, this fact is not much discussed amongst educationists. I firstly became aware of it because of a report in Hindu. Then I searched and then found even Ministry of Education has acknowledged this. So now there is no dispute that the figure is falling, and roughly 10 lakh children in the age group of 3 to 6 have quit formal education, which is a large number, at an age when pre-primary education is most important. Why have these children left? there is an associated fact. That also we must recognize. Teaching in vernacular schools and attendance in vernacular schools is dropping very fast. Part of it is replaced by students taking admission to English medium pre-primary schools. Look at Mumbai. There was a time about 15 years back when largest number of pre-primary education children were in Marathi medium schools. Because, again, all educationists agree, I will not get into the details, that teaching in mother tongue is very, very important and useful, and teaching young children in a foreign language as a medium of instruction can damage their understanding of the subject matter, their interaction with parents, because parents may not know English, so on and so forth. So everybody says that pre-primary education must be in mother tongue. Maybe you may teach an additional language. National Education Policy says that teaching will be in mother tongue. We may teach an additional language, even that early stage, because children grasp language very fast in that age group. But what has happened? Today in Mumbai, the largest number of pre-primary school children are in English medium schools, followed by Hindi medium schools, followed by Urdu medium schools, and children who learn in Marathi medium is the least, though more than half the population of Bombay, we will not discuss 50% or 60%, is with Marathi mother tongue. So what is happening? Parents believe that teaching in English medium gives better careers to children. No proof. Almost all anecdotal stories say that people like me who learned in Marathi medium managed to have very good careers. No problem. But parents prefer to put their children in English medium schools. Then what happens? These English medium schools in urban areas are very costly. Anganwadis are there in small hutments at remote places. And parents don't want to send them to Anganwadi because, according to them, if my kid mixes with those kids, my kid will suffer. So my kid must go in a very prestigious English medium school. And internationally branded English medium schools are increasing by leaps and bounds in cities. Pune, where I hail from, has 19 Eurokid schools. 19. Single brand. The fees are more than ₹1,00,000 per year. Many middle-class parents can't afford it. And they don't want to send their children to Marathi medium school. So the children sit at home. Then the mothers quit their job and say, we will teach these children at home, which is foolish because they have never been taught how to teach. Common sense is not the best method to teach. She may be MA history, but that doesn't mean that she can teach gravitation or even simple physics. So what is happening? Children are suffering. They are not getting educated at all. At the most crucial period of their life, when good education is most crucial according to everybody, increasingly children are being deprived of getting good education. What needs to be done? I have two suggestions, which I'll quickly say. First, at least in Pune, there are a large number of reputed educational institutes, right from Gokhale Institute of Economics to XYZ. They have empty classrooms because students don't go and attend there. All these prestigious schools institutions should be told it is compulsory that you start a pre-primary education class in local language. If that happens, some parents will feel, at least proudly I can say, that my child goes to Symbiosis Pre-Primary School or Ferguson Pre-Primary School or Gokhale Institute. And therefore, availability will increase and children will start going to pre-primary school. But there is another problem, parents. They say we want to teach parents. All attempts have failed. I have studied them. Parents don't want to learn. If they come to school meetings, they want to only make crazy demands from the school. So how do we have parents who know what is the importance of teaching in mother tongue? My suggestion is how to teach students what we call Palak Niti in Marathi should be a compulsory subject at 9th and 10th standard with 100 marks for that paper. Then students will learn today and we will have better parents at least 7, 8, 10 years hence. So that in 20 years, we won't have a majority of Indians which are basically unpad. Thank you. My presentation is over. I hope within 10 minutes.
But doctor, would you kindly also talk about the experiment which was done in Mumbai in another 5 minutes or so?
But that is a not conclusive.
That it's
indicative.
Okay.
Indicative.
Fine.
There is a Marathi school, Marathi medium school called Nandadip in Goregaon. It is 40-year-old. Like every other Marathi medium school, their enrollment at primary and pre-primary level has been declining. Their total strength has come down from 1,000 to 400. Pre-primary education came down from 150 to 40 people. Now, their headmaster read my book on marketing, which is my core subject. And then he told their management, this Anand Karandikar, why don't we invite him to help us in getting more students? Let him practice his marketing techniques for our school. I like the challenge. We made a simple thing. We involved 9th standard students in promoting their own school to parents. These students were briefly told advantages of learning in vernacular. What are the facilities in their school? It's a good school, best playground, best teachers. They went from house to house where parents had to decide where to admit their child when it is 3 and 4-year-old. And they said, we have come to do a survey. Where are you going to teach? Send your child. Then, of course, parents felt curious. They said, which school you are from? They said, Nandadip. Then they got talking about the school. Then they got talking about medium of instruction. And 9th standard students became extremely good ambassadors for their own school and for teaching in Marathi medium schools. Because they could say, look, I speak fluent English. You don't have to be in English medium school to be able to speak English. Just now, I am also speaking English. I learned entire thing in Marathi schooling. So the point is, these ambassadors were very effective. And this year, first year, the recruitment, which was at 85 in pre-primary, has shot up to 130. Of course, teachers also participated. They also went to local Anganwadis and interacted with parents. And if we found this one-to-one interaction with parents helps and does bring students to a good Marathi medium school. But this is only a beginning. I have said if this attempt continues for next 5 years, then perhaps the school will reach back its original strength. We are also not sure whether we have only attracted students who would have gone to other Marathi medium schools to our school. Have we really attracted them from English medium schools? I am not sure. That research is going on. It will go on, but that was a small challenge. another experiment we are doing in Pune of teaching children on program is called Himsa Nako Prem Have. That is social emotional learning, which is becoming internationally popular. And we find students respond very well. So students learn. They learn very fast. It is the system which does not allow them to learn. If parents keep children at home and say, we will teach them, then disaster. Thank you. But that is what is happening. And not with one student, two students. In Bombay, roughly, in Bombay alone, with about 60,000 students. Difficult.
Can I just come in for a minute here?
Yes, please.
Anandji, Marathi medium schools are reducing, but Gujarati medium schools have just closed down.
Yes, I know.
And everybody, even unfortunately, when I talked about government and schools, all the government municipal schools are becoming English medium.
English medium schools. You are right. Corporation schools also.
Yes. And so there are a lot of issues. Teaching, learning, methodology, our learning outcome, they are very poor. And I want to make here a report, which says that a fifth standard student is not able to read and understand the problems of the second standard child.
Correct. Subtraction of two figures, they find difficult according to ACER report.
And it is a national figure. It is not of a particular area.
I agree.
And they've been doing this ASA report every year.
Yes, ma'am.
And so many years, but the situation is not improving.
Not improving. It is becoming worst.
And therefore, we can say that where are we stuck, kind of a thing.
Correct.
There are many other aspects that discussion can just go on. Thank you.
I agree. I agree with you completely. Just one supplementary addition. These Shiv Sena people who talk about Marathi, do nothing about promoting education in Marathi. In fact, when they are in power, that is the time when most of the corporation schools were handed over to private English medium schools. So, slogan mongering is one thing, and at grassroots level, putting it in action